Nonetheless, on March 26, 2004, the judge banned the activities of Jehovah's Witnesses in Moscow. On June 16, 2004, the Moscow City Court upheld the decision. The footnote reads, "The ban liquidated the registered legal entity used by the congregations in Moscow. The opposers hoped that the liquidation would hamper our brothers in carrying out their ministry." End of footnote. Commenting on the verdict, a longtime witness observed, "In Soviet times, a Russian had to be an atheist. Today, a Russian must be Orthodox." How did the brothers react to the ban? Much like Nehemiah of old. In his day, when enemies of God's people opposed his efforts to rebuild Jerusalem's wall, Nehemiah and his people did not let themselves become sidetracked by any form of opposition. Instead, they kept building and continued to have a heart for working. Nehemiah 4, 1-6. Similarly, our brothers in Moscow did not let opposers sidetrack them from the work that is to be carried out today, the preaching of the good news. They were confident that Jehovah would look after them, and they were ready to take on the fourth stage in this lengthy struggle. Increase in hostility. On August 25, 2004, our brothers delivered a petition to the Kremlin addressed to Vladimir Putin, then President of Russia. The petition, expressing deep concern about the ban, consisted of 76 volumes and contained over 315,000 signatures. Meanwhile, the Russian Orthodox clergy showed their true colors. A spokesman for the Moscow Patriarchy declared, "We are very much against the activities of Jehovah's Witnesses." A Muslim leader said that the ruling on the ban was a milestone and positive event. Not surprisingly, deluded elements of Russian society felt emboldened to attack Jehovah's Witnesses. Some witnesses sharing in the preaching work in Moscow were punched and kicked by opposers. An enraged man chased a sister out of a building and kicked her so violently in the spine that she fell and hit her head. She required medical help. Yet the police took no action against her attacker. Other witnesses were arrested by the police, fingerprinted, photographed, and held in custody overnight. Managers of meeting places in Moscow were threatened with dismissal if they continued to rent their halls to the witnesses. Before long, numerous congregations lost their rented meeting places. 40 congregations have had to share the same Kingdom Hall complex of 4 halls. One congregation using that facility had to hold the public meeting at 7:30 in the morning. To attend, the publishers had to get up at 5 o'clock, related a traveling overseer, but they did so willingly for more than a year. For a witness. To establish that the Moscow ban was unlawful, in December 2004 our lawyers sought relief from the European Court of Human Rights. 6 years later, on June 10, 2010, the court handed down a unanimous decision completely exonerating Jehovah's Witnesses. The footnote reads, "On November 22, 2010, a 5-judge panel of the Grand Chamber of the European Court of Human Rights rejected Russia's petition requesting that the case be referred to the court's Grand Chamber. In doing so, the June 10, 2010 judgment became final and enforceable." End of footnote. The court took note of all accusations made against us and found them to be totally groundless. It also stated that Russia had a legal obligation to put an end to the violation found by the court and to redress as far as possible the effects. The following is supplementary information. Why a Russian verdict is reviewed in France. On February 28, 1996, Russia signed the European Convention on Human Rights. On May 5, 1998, Russia ratified the convention. By signing that treaty, Russia's government declared that its subjects have the right to freedom of religion and the right to practice their religion at home and in public, and to change their religion if they want to do so. Article 9. The right to say and write in a responsible way what they think and to give information to others. Article 10. The right to take part in peaceful meetings. Article 11. Individuals or organizations who are victims of violations of the treaty and who have exhausted all domestic legal avenues can bring their case to the European Court of Human Rights in Strasbourg, France. It is made up of 47 judges, a number equal to the number of countries that signed the European Convention on Human Rights. The court's judgments are binding. Countries that signed the treaty must comply with the judgments. The court's judgment. Here are 3 brief excerpts from the court's judgment. One charge alleged that Jehovah's Witnesses break up families. The court decided otherwise. It stated, "It is the resistance and unwillingness of non-religious family members to accept and to respect their religious relatives' freedom to manifest and practice his or her religion that is the source of conflict." Paragraph 111. The court also found no evidence to support the charge of mind control, stating, "The court finds it remarkable that the Russian courts did not cite the name of a single individual whose right to freedom of conscience had allegedly been violated by means of those techniques." Paragraph 129. Another charge stated that by not accepting blood transfusions, Jehovah's Witnesses damaged the health of believers. The court ruled to the contrary, stating, "The freedom to accept or refuse specific medical treatment or to select an alternative form of treatment is vital to the principles of self-determination and personal autonomy. A competent adult patient is free to decide, for instance, whether or not to undergo surgery or treatment or, by the same token, to have a blood transfusion." Paragraph 136. Returning to the article, the court's well-articulated conclusions on how the European Convention on Human Rights protects the practices of Jehovah's Witnesses are binding not just on Russia, but also on the 46 other nations that are members of the Council of Europe. Even more than that, because of the breadth and scope of the analysis of the law and the facts, it will be read with interest by legal scholars, judges, legislators, and human rights specialists around the world. Why is this? In reaching its decision, the court referred not only to 8 decisions it had previously handed down in favor of Jehovah's Witnesses, but also to 9 victories earlier won by Jehovah's Witnesses before the highest courts of Argentina, Canada, Japan, Russia, South Africa, Spain, the United Kingdom, and the United States. These references and the court's robust refutations of the accusations made by the Moscow prosecutor provide the worldwide community of Jehovah's Witnesses with a powerful tool to use in defense of their faith and practices. Jesus told his followers, "You will be hailed before governors and kings for my sake, for a witness to them and the nations." Matthew 10:18. The legal struggle that took place during the last decade and a half offered our brothers the opportunity to make Jehovah's name known as never before in Moscow and beyond. The attention focused on the witnesses by the investigations, the court cases, and the verdict of an international court has indeed been for a witness and has contributed to the advancement of the good news. Philippians 1:12. In fact, when the witnesses in Moscow share in the preaching work today, many householders react saying, "But did they not ban you people?" That question often gives our brothers an opportunity to provide the householders with more information about our beliefs. Clearly, no opposing force can stop us from our kingdom preaching activity. We pray that Jehovah continues to bless and sustain our beloved and courageous brothers and sisters in Russia. End of article.